I'm here today with Matt McConnell from Streem Connect, and we're going to be looking at how you can automate the financial data collection from your client. So hello, Matt.
Hi, Simon.
Hello, Matt, and I can't wait to get started. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up because you're not here to listen to me. You're here to find out all about Streem Connect. I'm going to hand over to Matthew with a virtual round of applause. Go, Matthew.
Thank you, Simon. So I'm just going to share my presentation so we can get started. Perfect. So Simon, can you see that okay?
Yes, we can see that.
Perfect. Right. So our mission is never chase clients for bank statements again. Simple. And I think it's good to point out at this stage that the platform is made by accountants for accountants. So as I say, I think it's good to point out that we are accountants and commercial finance brokers by trade. We've got a firm in County Durham, and to give you an idea of the size of our firm as an accountancy practice, we have around 30 plus team members, around about 1,100 business clients, which have built up since the firm started in 2013. We've fully embraced the cloud accounting idea over the last 8 years as an accountancy firm. So, you know, we've got Platinum Xero status, we've got a had Diamond Receipt Bank partnership before I think they rebranded to Dex. So what we're trying to do is simply enhance what we see as the best cloud accounting platforms out there. I think it's also worth pointing out at this stage that Xero and other cloud accounting platforms, when run perfectly, it's amazing. But I think a lot of our clients, I dare say probably 95% of clients, aren't the A-star grade type client. So, what I mean by that is our clients want to do as little as possible and basically make us work for our money. So we've had to create such efficiencies within the business to make our service come across as good as possible. So, cloud accounting, what was missing for us? So, I'm not here to teach anybody how to do the job. But we've always believed that there's three key pieces of information that allows any accountant to, whether it's a bookkeeper, a standard accountant, or an auditor, to be able to complete an accounting service effectively. So first point is purchase invoices or bills. We crossed that efficiency by initially finding auto entry, then we converted to receipt bank further down the line because we felt the client experience was better. Next point is sales invoices and income. So that box is ticked by most clients, or all clients should have some record of their income, whether it's they raising invoices direct from Xero, they might have self-billed invoices coming in from the people that they're working for, and we just send that straight through the Dex. Or there might be some platforms such as an EPOS system or an e-commerce platform, which allows us to track income out there. And then last but not least is obviously bank statements. And that's always been a problem for us since we started. I think just to add to that, I think that the days where an accountant can just rely on something like a Simplex D-book or a cash record and not actually rely on bank statements is long gone. Because even if you think about pizza shops, hairdressers, where they used to be cash heavy businesses, they'll have Just Eat, which goes through the bank. Pizza shops, hairdressers will have card machines, so all their income most of the income goes through the bank these days. So I don't think that an accountant should not be using bank statements, and if they aren't using bank statements, personally, I don't think you can be doing a proper job for your clients. So, next few screens is what we see as the pain points for not just the client, but the accountants, the other people within the firm. So the first point, so clients can get access to their online banking. Clients having to walk into the local branch to get printouts, or bank statements might have been misplaced when they've come through the post. And they've always been common problems, but I see that as a common problem from the clients, because what we're then doing is asking clients to go out of their way to get us a piece of information, or a sheet of paper basically to help us do our job. Now that's always been a frustration from the client side. The next point is mainly regarding OCR software and bank feeds. So, the scanning, some of the things I hear is the scanning hasn't worked properly because the clients might have made a note against some of the transactions on the bank statements. They think it's helping us, but actually when you scan that through OCR software, it doesn't work. Bank feeds might have missing transactions, or they might duplicate transactions. And if the client was to just simply link up the bank within Xero or within QuickBooks, what if they link up the wrong bank account? Or what if they link it from a wrong date? That creates more and more problems. And then I think finally, when the bank feeds need relinking, the clients might not have access to Xero. So then what we have to do is call the client, get them to get access to Xero, which is a pain. And if they don't know the passwords, we might just say, or the client might say to us, if I give you our bank details, can you just link up the bank feed, which is a nightmare. We don't want to be handling any data like that. So they're common problems for the person preparing the work, the bookkeeper or the junior accountant. And I think just something I saw last year was, it's probably the worst, but not so obvious error I've seen from an external bookkeeper. So in May 2020, there was 2 transactions, £50,000 coming in, £50,000 going out, both with just sort code and account numbers. So the bookkeeper assumed it was a contra charge, basically in and out. What it actually was a bounce back loan coming in, £50,000, paid straight out to the director's personal account. So, we've built like an auto reconciler which actually picked up that mistake, but that could have led to £50,000 loan being missed off the accounts, and then also a £50,000 director's loan missed off the accounts, which obviously there's things like S455 tax problems and so on. So we picked that up through having access to all of the transactions within Streem. So the next point is, I think every accountant and bookkeeper, in my opinion, should be agreeing the closing balance of the bank account in the account software against an actual bank statement, just to confirm that the balance sheet's correct. And I think when the balance disagrees, because there's missed postings or there's deleted transactions, all that does is it creates a load of work for the accountant to rectify and correct. I've seen a firm not so far from us charge nearly £10,000 to rectify a messy Xero account. So it's this is one of the pains for one of the senior accountants in the firm. And then also we've got internal pain points. So internal as in the staff, internal as in the partners. So, the team members within the firms not being able to progress with completing, a year-end job or a VAT return or CIS monthly return becomes really frustrating. They might not be doing the job properly if they're not doing it quickly enough. But also, staff want to be able to get on, do jobs quickly enough and move on to the next one, as do the partners. The partners in firms, they'll be frustrated. If they're billing a one-off job at the end of the year, they want the job done quickly and accurately as possible so they can get the fee out the door and get paid quickly. The way I've always seen it is the quicker the job's done, the quicker we get paid. Obviously, over the last few years, things like direct debit, retainer kind of packages has superseded that. But still, there's a lot of firms who just rely on doing the job at the end of the year and then get paid for it. after the job's been done. And the final one of the pain points is not having constant access to the client's bank statements. It's not just useful for the accountants, but it's also useful for people like Payroll and the CIS department. So how we run it with Payroll is around about the 17th to the 18th of the month, they go into Streem and they check if the client's actually paid the PAYE that we've asked them to pay. So what that does is it reduces further down the line the client, the client that is missing a payment, which also might mean the payment is allocated to an incorrect period. And we've always, I think, we kind of do what the client asks, and we would historically call the client, but actually being one step ahead and being proactive in calling the client and saying, look, you haven't paid your PAYE this month. Is everything okay? I think it's a great way to keep the client happy. And this second point is clients running into cash flow problems without realizing. Business owners are busy and they might not always check their bank account on a day-to-day basis. So Streem's a solution for that. So key problems for firms, and this is to a point speaking from experience, but I think there'll be a lot of people who agree with us. Where an amalgamation of the last sort of 12 points can lead to these following problems. So slow billing and slow payments. So as I said before, the quicker a job's done, the quicker people get paid. So if a job's not done quickly and accurately, and maybe it's taken 3 months, partly due to the client's not giving us the right information, then all that's going to do is potentially slow payment, increase work in progress. But getting it done quicker, everybody's happy. Overwhelming workload, in my opinion, I wouldn't say we've been overwhelmed. I think what's more creating the overwhelm is being frustrated that we can't finish jobs off. And then clients are always on your back saying, look, where's my job at? And generally we might have, or the accountants have asked the business owner or the finance department for bits of information and they haven't responded to it, but they might forget about that. So actually, being less overwhelmed is resolved by being ahead of your work, in my opinion. Again, this leads to team morale being low. If clients are calling all the time and on your back quite a lot, then that can be frustrating for them, because as partners, we don't want to deal with we don't want to micromanage everything. So when the team members who don't necessarily have the relationship with the client, if they're getting grief off the client because the job is not necessarily done as quickly as the client would like, maybe they want a mortgage application or they want to go in for finance, it can be frustrating for the team members as well. Inaccurate data and compliance problems. So there was an article I read about, I think it was Hayes McIntyre and Hacker Young, both received large fines, I think about 130,000 from preparing inaccurate audit reports, which would have been avoided if they used platforms like Streem, essentially to be able to test 100% of transactions to make sure all of the entries are in the accountancy package, debtors are tested after the year end, slow moving stock after the year end, and so on. That can be resolved through open banking, having consistent and constant access to bank statements. I think finally as well, lack of proactivity. So I dare bet most of the accountants in this group have won new clients through a lack of communication from the previous accountant. Well, imagine if you could get if the accountant can receive an email when a client's bank balance drops below a set threshold which you set. So just receiving that email, that can spark a conversation to the client. Look, is everything okay? And that can raise conversations around, creating cash flow forecasts and advisory services, raising finance, and so on, ultimately creating more and more revenue in business for your firm. So next, what I want to show you is the customer experience, because the whole point we've built the platform is to essentially make it easy for the clients to use, so that the accountant and the firm can crack on and do the work quickly and efficiently. So what we've got on let's move this little thing out of the way. So I've got the video on the right hand side. So this is what the client will receive prior to linking up the account. Now, you can see there's a link on a text message. We can also send it by email and also copy and paste the link into a WhatsApp. Now, you should always accept cookies so that the software will run efficiently. And also to add as well, people using iPhones might have the software, might have the browser in incognito mode or private browser. You should always turn that off, because what will stop the bank doing is reverting back to the website. All right. Now, what this is doing is it's a statement saying what information are we going to be collecting from the client's bank account. Now, going into the list of banks, on the front page is about 16 banks, but we link up with about 70 banks in the UK, and adding on to that, which I'll get to. I'll get to some of the ones who we don't link up with shortly, but the majority of them should be in there, like PayPal and Starling and so on. So you would key in, or the client will key in into their online banking. They do it through Face ID if it's easier. And then within online banking or mobile banking, it'll then give it takes a second to load. It'll then give us the option of which bank accounts do me as a customer want to give the accountant bank statement access to. And here's obviously read-only access. So I've selected four of my business accounts there, savings accounts and so on. And just for clarity, that's classed as one link. One time where the client has to link and connect the bank, that's just one link, which I'll get onto that later. Once that's done, it takes a second, but then it'll come back with a success notice. Once it's authenticated the bank, comes back with success. And at that point, if the customer has a different bank account with, say, Starling or NatWest or whomever, they can then click the link another account and do the process again, because a link lasts for 1 week and then it gets deactivated.
So Matthew, just so I've got clarity over that, basically what you do as the accountant, you send them a link via email or via text message or WhatsApp or any medium basically that ends up on their phone. They click that link, it opens up the app, and then they select which bank it is that they would like to connect from that list. And then basically they just log on as normal, give you access, press send, and away it goes.
Correct. Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Correct.
Thank you.
So I think just one thing to add to that is each bank has a different process from the point that they choose the bank that they want to go into. So they all have different API processes. So some might be worded slightly different to others, but the process in theory is exactly the same throughout the banks. All right.
Thank you.
Lovely. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the platform itself. So this is obviously the live platform, and I'll talk you through each of the items which are useful before I go on with the presentation. So here you can see the dashboard view. So we've got the number of clients which we have integrated.
Matt, I'm seeing live demo in Stream at the moment. I'm still seeing the PowerPoint.
No problem. I'll reshare that. Is that okay now?
That's perfect. Yeah, brilliant.
Lovely. Cheers. So this is a dashboard view. So this is what you will see when you log in. So it's got your top 5 clients. Then you've got how many clients are integrated. Obviously, how many is not integrated as well. The loan funds. So I was talking before about the low balance thresholds, which I'll talk about further. And then also how many clients are approaching 90 days. So our system's been live since the 1st of August. We've actually got no clients coming up to the 90 days yet. So the next point is the account management. So if you click on manage users, this is where you can add new users. So, what we tend to prefer is, get every team member into the system, because we don't charge per user or charge extra for users. We've got two-factor authentication. This is for the security for the accountants accessing the system. We've also got things like, this is where you change your passwords, change your email, and then update your profile. Okay. The most important part for us is the client table. So this is where everything is organized how it should be. Now, at the top, we've got different types of filters. So if I take off the advanced search, it simply gives us every client. We can also search for the clients which we've got a low balance threshold, so where their account may be fairly low. And we've also got favorite clients. So I've got non-favorited there, but if I was to just simply tick that, the favorite clients go to the top of the table, and you can search for it that way. That might be quite useful for a team manager if they're managing, say, 20 or 30 of their own clients. Stick a favorite on. So I'll clear the filters. I'll untick those. So then the filters itself. So the advanced search, we've kind of made this to be quite easy to use for the client. So you may have a client which has 2 or 3 or more companies. You may also have you might want to search by manager. So you can do it that way. And also you can filter it through, right, who's linked up, who's not linked up, who's pending. So we've already sent them a link, but they haven't linked it up yet themselves. And also who's coming up for expiring. So it's very easy to filter in that way. Another way we can filter is through tags, which I'll get to. Now, while I'm in the search box, how our payroll team, I'll keep referring to them, but how our payroll team use it is they would log in and just search for payroll. Now, each of these clients has tags next to them. So actually what our payroll team is able to do is just run through each of these, open them up, and then do a search. Right, has those clients actually paid the PUIE that we've asked them to pay? So that's how the tags feature works. Adding a new client, so we built the system to make it so easy and self-explanatory for people using it. You simply click add new client. You'd add the obvious details, so business name, email, first name, last name. Phone number, mobile numbers aren't required to add a client, but further down the line, if we want to start sending text messages to the client to ask them to authenticate through a text message, because we feel that text messages are more effective than emails. It's as simple as that. So put the number in, and then obviously partner, manager, and tags. This disabled automatic relinking reminders is useful if you're doing a one-off job for a client. So you may do a self-assessment for a client, and you might not see them next year. So they don't want to constantly have, or you don't want constant access to their bank statements. Just tick that, and they won't get their automatic reminders after coming up to 90 days. So that's adding an individual client. We can also import bulk clients. So we've got the download template in here, which I'll open up. it's fairly, as I say, self-explanatory. If you're using a practice management system, what you may want to do is just export business name, email, first name, last name, all of this information. You'd save it and then go back into import clients and simply choose file. And what that would do is it would flag up if there's any duplicates that's already in the system by business name and by email. But also just allows you to do the work much quicker. And the final one, which is to do with the automation, is email all unlinked clients. So I've only got one which is unlinked, I believe. If I just press yes, send it. So all my clients which aren't linked there, they're going to get emails to basically ask them to relink their or link up their bank account. There's a few there, so we just send them. So the next point is what data do we get access to?
Matt, just before you go on to that, I've got half a dozen questions that have come flying in. I think, can we just see if we can nail a few before we move on? Eamon's asked, is it compatible with Capium or Capium, however you want to pronounce that, or any other cloud accounting software? So we talked lots about Xero, but does it work with anything else?
So the export format is it can be compatible. We are in the process of building the direct APIs into each of the cloud accounting platforms. So essentially each day, the previous day's transactions will be pushed into the bank statement format. So we're looking to build that. We don't for Capium, we don't for Xero at the moment, or QuickBooks, but we are in the process of building it.
Okay, thank you. And then Jack's asked, if a client has multiple bank accounts with different banks, would a separate link be needed to be sent for each bank to get read access, or can it all be done on the one link?
It's done on the one link for billing purposes. Each different bank account, as in the bank institution, because you might have one company which have 3 business accounts, but it's on one bank account, like one bank login, that will be classed as one link for billing purposes. But the link itself, that lasts for a week, so you can link up as many accounts as you want, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, and just on that link lasting for a week, that doesn't mean that it has to be renewed every week. It's just that link that you send lasts for a week. Is that right? Right.
So if you can see on my screen here,
yeah. So
this is for our company, but we've sent that link and we haven't linked it up yet.
Yeah.
So after a week, the accountant will have to create a new link simply by pressing, create new bank link. So that's how that works.
Okay, so it's the link that expires rather than the connection to the bank account that expires. Vinlay's asked a question around having to reconnect every 90 days, which I know is a question that lots of people have asked, and no doubt you'll get to in a moment. Yeah. Matt has asked, and I think we've just answered this by default, but Matt's asked, can you connect PayPal feeds and import that through Streem Connect?
You can. What PayPal doesn't do at the moment is give us the balances. That's the one thing I point out. But the guys are working on it. And I think just one thing to add as well, what we don't have that much control over is how the banks publish data from their side. So we can connect into their API. The banks don't want to give us certain information because the handles banking are a good example where they're so old-fashioned, they're not going to give us any APIs. So each are different, but PayPal is one of the only ones that doesn't give us I think the only one that doesn't give us a running balance. So that's the only thing I point out.
Okay. Jared's asked, when you entered the payroll, is it a keyword that the payment related to the payroll will be highlighted?
No, so you'd have to go into the actual account and search for that. But again, if I can just do a quick show on the account. So if you search for the account itself and view, then it's quite quickly, it would bring up the transactions for the last 30 days, and then you just search for PAYE. So it's that's how it will be done. But for clients who have payroll themselves, you would just search for the tags on the client table.
Thank you. John I've got your question. I'm not going to ask Matt, but I've got an idea as to how you can achieve or get an answer to that, John. So I'll share that a bit later for you. Chris, are there any banks that cannot be linked?
Merchant acquiring banks can't be linked at the moment. So, the likes of Stripe, Barclaycard payments, so they're not actual bank accounts in themselves. There's Counting Up can't be linked at the moment because it's a fairly new digital bank. There's a couple more which I'll get to in the presentation.
Okay.
But the one thing I'll point out is if there is any new quirky bank accounts, HSBC's got a new one as well. We ask our partners to build the API as quickly as they can. So it's more of a timing thing, and eventually they'll get the link on. So
thank you. Faraz, you've asked a question about importing clients. I think that was asked slightly before Matt showed you how to import them. If you've got any other questions on that, then just pop them in the Q&A and I'll ask again. And then Eamon's asked, can you download the statements in CSV format?
Yes, so it's aimed at accountants, so we can only do in CSV and Excel at the moment. We've pushed we don't see the point in having a PDF format at the moment because banks don't accept PDF format because it's not their preferred format. So it's only CSV at the moment, thankfully.
Thank you. And then the last, just a couple more just coming quickly. Eamon's asked, what about Irish banks like Ulster Bank and Bank of Ireland?
Yeah, they can be linked. Yeah.
Okay. And then can Streem Connect deal with bank accounts in currencies other than British pounds?
Yeah, it can. We're in the process of changing the currency because by default we've built it in sterling currency. So what happens is if we've got a euro account, it shows in Streem at the moment as sterling, whereas we just need to adapt it so that currency is actually the right currency is pulled through. So in response to the answer, yes, we're about a week away from getting that tweaked. So.
Thank you. And then the last question, because I'm going to let you, I'm just conscious of the time, and I know you've got lots more to share yet. The last question, are the bank balances always accurate? For example, when the bank feeds come through on Xero, sometimes transactions are missed and the bank balances are out.
Yeah, so the reason for that is the bank feeds within Xero, they get sent, I think it's 4 times a day. So whether it's on a weekend, or there might be pending transactions in the bank, which still get pushed through to Xero. So the reason Xero balances are out is because there's generally missing transactions. Eventually, they do balance if everything's in there, but it might just be a day either way of the weekend. But how our system works is Streem pulls in the live balance as it is at this minute, and then we work back over to get the correct balance. So historic balances are always correct from the statements that are pulled out of Streem.
Brilliant, excellent, thank you. We've got a couple more questions coming, but I'll let you continue, Matt. In case I think one of them you might be answering shortly as well. So, thank you very much for the questions. If you've got any other questions, just pop them in the Q&A box, which is the little button to the right of the raised hand feature, and then they'll appear on my screen, and I'll be able to ask Matt. Brilliant, thank you.
Lovely, thanks, Simon. So yeah, the next bit is the information which we can see. And I've just briefly gone into it there. So to see the bank accounts which are linked up, so I've got the Barclays account linked up here. Now, quite simply, to view the transactions on screen, you just press view. So quite self-explanatory. It goes back for the last 30 days. The reason we only go back 30 days is because for us to download the transactions, at the point we press view, we ask Barclays to tell us the information. So we don't actually store transactional data. We store things like account number, sort code, and the actual link, which allows us to pull the information in. But it's quite fast in the fact that if I want to download a year's worth of data, it'll have a publishing button along here. So it's done very, very quick there. Along the top, so it's quite, as I say, it's quite fast. Same thing goes for the download button. So if I want to download however many transactions, I'll just do the last 30 days for now. But we've got the standard template, which is quite simply a bank statement format. I'll just get this up. What we've got is the transaction, the date, the name of the payee, and then we've got the balance on there, which is useful. Now, in terms of the other formats, again, we've got Sage 50, QuickBooks, Xero, and Xero US. We can build more ones like Free Agent, and whichever ones else there are. But the only difference is the likes of Xero doesn't have the balances on there. Any statement can be formatted, and if there's any specific requests as to can we format it in this way, what I'd ask is just let us know, and we can format it that way. So that's fairly simple, and then that can be simply dragged and dropped into the likes of Xero or QuickBooks for the accountant or the bookkeeper to press on and do their work with no interruptions. And the final thing I want to get to, which I'm going to go on further to discuss, is low balance thresholds. Now, and to talk you through this account, so with Barclays, we've got the last 4 digits of the account, helps us identify the account. Depository is just a standard current account. We've got the balance at this minute of the account, and we've also got the overdraft limit. So if you've got an overdraft or you've got a credit card which has a credit balance, what it'll do in the limit section is tell us what we can play with. So quick maths, I know I've got £35,000 to play with. But what I've set is a minimum threshold balance. So as soon as our bank balance drops below £20,000, I get an email because it can be quite concerning. If I want to then up that to say £50,000, reduce it, to £5,000, then that threshold, it's not being breached. So I think from an advisory point of view, and I'm going to go on to talk a little bit further about that and how it would be helpful. I think it's quite powerful from an accountant's point of view. So that's pretty much it for the platform. I'll proceed with the rest of the presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing that one, and I will share the full screen. Can you see that PowerPoint there, Simon?
Yes, I've got that. Yeah.
Lovely. So, as I say, with the low balance thresholds, the client will receive, the accountant will receive an email like this, simply saying that the client's low balance threshold has been triggered, and that will come across at 6 o'clock in the night and 6 o'clock in the morning. So we can, as I say, we can be very proactive in speaking to the clients. They want to have a healthy cash flow balance. The accountant wants them to have a healthy cash flow balance, and as I say, to trigger to speak to the client. But also, I think these days there's quite an onus on the accountant being able to raise finance for the clients. I think there was a phrase going about a year or so ago, that accountants are the bank manager version 2. So that kind of gives you an idea of how important it is to be able to hold your client's hand. And as I say, to be able to upsell additional services, so cash flow forecasts, advisory services, commercial finance services, where they're very good from a fee earning point of view, I think it can only be a good thing. So this is how the 90-day authentication works. So client initially will obviously link up the bank, and then after 80 days, they start getting emails. So 10, 7, and 4 days before that deadline, the client's going to get automatic emails. As I say, clients don't always check the emails. So 2 days before, they'll get a text message. So what it basically means is the accountant's not having to chase at all, to a point for clients' bank statements. It's going to, it's going to filter out the majority of the good clients, and the remaining clients, after the 90 days where it's been unlinked, there'll be a lot less for you to just give them a call and say, look, can you please relink the account? And also, you know, clients' bank links might cut off because of the bank. You know, the bank might be doing something to their APIs. So at that point as well, we would also receive, and the client would receive an email to say, can you please relink your bank because, you know, because we need to. All right. Now, the next screen is a brief overview of the banks and the partnerships that we have. So you know, the following account types are accepted and set up, such as business account, most business accounts, most personal accounts, if not all, credit cards and PayPal. And we are working on building an API, into acquiring banks such as, you know, Stripe, Clover, and so on. So we've got that full visibility. And again, we're always upfront with that. Some banks don't work as smoothly as others, and some don't have an integration or don't allow an integration at all. I mentioned Handelsbank before. You know, they don't have any intention to allow us to build an API. But then you've got Metro, you've got Co-op, Tide. At the moment, there's slight issues with those banks. Again, we're clear about that. But we are looking for the accountants to build a page to clearly identify which banks we're having slight niggles with, and where our team are at with I think correcting the APIs. I think the final thing to point out is we partner with a company called Plaid. So it's £1 billion corporation, and they have around about 500 plus developers, which basically build and monitor the APIs between all the banks. So if there's ever any problems, they rectify it. But what it allows us to do is have constant access to as many bank accounts and bank institutions as we can, with as little problems as possible. And both Plaid, I think we need to point out that both Plaid and Streem ourselves, we're regulated by the FCA for the provision of account information services. So again, fully regulated and fully above board. So I want to get on to pricing. I think it's going to be the main question. How much do we cost? What's the investment that is needed? So I did mention to Simon that we're going to put out an attractive pricing structure. So what we've agreed is a discount of 50% for all links for the first 6 months, and then it reverts to the standard pricing as shown on the right hand side. There's no contracts, there's no minimum clients needed, there's no rollover, nothing like that. So if you've got one client on the system with one bank link, it'll cost you £1.25 a month for the first 6 months. It's quite clear. Obviously, if you've got, I've demonstrated here, if you've got 100 banks linked, it'll cost £125 a month. It's billed in arrears. So as I say, I think it's from our point of view, we've built it fairly for the people using it. Where we've got the minimum cost of being 3 months, what that means is if you add on a client, say one bank account, you get the data out of it, so you get the last 2 years worth of data, and then you cancel it because you don't need the information anymore. We charge a minimum fee of 3 months per client. So quite simply, if you have one client and you use them once, download the data, it's going to cost £3.75 for you guys in the first 6 months. So hope that makes sense. So what I want to get to next is our roadmap, because it's quite exciting for us. You know, we're a new platform, and you know, we're building it with accountants in mind. So in October, we're hoping to have the bank feeds for Xero and an auto reconciler as well. So what that'll mean is transactions are fed in from Streem on a daily basis. Not throughout the day like Xero does, because that's what causes problems. But at the end of the day, the previous day's transactions are loaded in. But also an auto reconciler. So there'll be a check to say, right, balance per Barclays is X, balance per Xero, per the bank statement is Y, do they match? And that'll be coming out in early October, we hope. Categorizing of spending. So if you've got loan payments, if you've got entertainment, we're going to have categories in for each of those. So it may improve things slightly, may help with doing smaller jobs like self-assessments, and just to be able to categorize payments. We've got the other cloud accounting platform integrations, which we're going to be starting working on once Xero's ticked off. We've got PDFs and automatically publishing bank statements. And if bank statements accept that format, then it'll be very powerful. So we floated the idea with a number of the mainstream lenders and also subprime lenders as well. But that's clearly, we haven't prioritized the PDF creator because we feel as accountants, you get much more use of having everything in Excel, which I'm sure you'll all agree. And ultimately, if you need a closing balance for your work papers for the file, then you can just print screen, and that's an easy solution to getting a closing balance on paper. We're also looking to bring in an enhanced communication platform, which allows us to have communication with the clients, which also ties in nicely with a lender proposal platform. So we've got a sister company, which is FCA regulated for credit brokering. So we're looking to bring that into Streem, which, as I say, having access to the banks, but also being able to load more information into the platform to be able to make proposals to lenders at a click of a button. I think is going to be quite powerful. And from the accountant side, it'll be fee generating as well, so on a commission basis. And there's going to be no extra fees for that. It's going to be included within the client by client package. And finally, MTD, can't wait. That's coming in obviously March, April 2023. So we're hoping to have the summarizer set up and in place by February 2023, which is simply going to be doing an analysis in some sort of pivot table format for the accountant to do a fairly simple but quick quarterly tax return for their clients. Idea being it's going to make a job more profitable, but also hopefully keep costs down for a sole trader. Next, it's not just accountants who benefit. Initially we built the platform just for us, and then it was one of the developers said, look, I think other accountants would benefit from this. But then having been speaking to other finance professionals, I mean, you can see here, insolvency practitioners historically have a problem of getting bank statements. Finance companies and lenders, invoice finance companies need to see clients' bank statements on a week-to-week basis. Internal management accountants, they might have 6 or 7 companies that they're doing the books for. So to have Streem is quite useful. Payroll bureaus, obviously we've mentioned how it can be useful for payroll, a payroll team within a firm, also specific payroll bureaus. Auditors, I've mentioned UHY and here's McIntyre, and the risk that they carry. Law firms, verifying, have they been doing naughty things with the bank accounts, and so on. And also gambling companies who don't have things like this to help with safer gambling. They can see spending habits for their customers. All right. So to summarize, what does Streem do? So it provides automated, fast and accurate bank feeds with balances and with unlimited access and downloads. So we don't charge per download, and you get unlimited access to as much data as the bank will allow us. Very easy CSV export into all software platforms. If the format needs tweaking, let us know, or it's easy to do yourself. Error checking on bookkeeping is very easy. Again, to have that easy format is quite powerful. Save time and money. So by replacing the OCR software, which historically costs 30 pence per sheet, or you might buy a bundle, which would cost you, I think we used to pay £400 a month with Receipt Bank. That cuts that out. And also there's a potential scope to reduce your Xero costs. If you can keep your client on ledger status, because you don't need to create an actual bank feed, that'll save you a few quid too. Turning jobs around, you're quicker by starting the jobs and quicker finishing the jobs, so therefore your firm will become much more profitable. You have better conversation with clients. You can see everything that's going on in the client's bank account, so you can hold their hand more. And finally, ensure compliance. So you're making sure that your client is paying the PAYE, paying the VAT, paying the tax on time, basically what they're paying you for. So thank you very much. Any questions?
Yeah, I've got hello. I've got lots of questions that have come through, Matt. So we'll work down. I'm conscious of the time. We've got about 8 minutes left before we need to wrap up. But the big question, obviously, that was on the registration forms and has come up a couple of times in the Q&A box today is the reconnection every 90 days, Matt. Streem Connect does not remove that requirement to reconnect every 90 days because it's a FCA thing. That's the law that everybody has to do. The objective of Streem Connect is it makes it easier than having to log into Xero and then press the button or whatever software it is, and then press the button and then log into the bank account and open browsers on a computer and all the weird and wonderful things that you have to do. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's just as good as, I suppose not needing the 90 days, because the accountant's going to hopefully have constant access anyway. So, yeah.
Excellent. And then can you explain connecting Streem to Xero? I think we've covered that one off. That's coming in October. Is that what you said?
Correct. So it's going to be bank feeds. So the transactions are pushed in. So you won't need to have a bank feed within the Xero platform. But then coming from the back of that is going to be the auto reconciler, which confirms that the balances within the system are correct.
So if I regurgitate that in my language, basically Streem Connect goes to the bank, collects the data, and then it pushes it into Xero.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Eamon's asked, will this be affected if a client's bank password is changed? I.e., will you need to resend the link each time they change the password?
So different banks are different. So that's the likes of Barclays. That's not the case. Starling is, I believe Starling does that. So if anything changes within Starling, you need to reconnect it. But as I say, we're going to have a nice page to say the status of all of these banks and any quirkiness around those.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Mark, could you just pop in the chat box the link if anybody would like to, or for those people that like to connect with Matt, thank you. And if they just say the Accountant's Mastermind, or I know Simon or whatever, Matt, then that'll get them the 50%, yeah?
Use the word Mastermind. So
Mastermind
gets the automatic 50% discount. If anybody doesn't use that, just let me know and we can apply the discount.
Brilliant. So basically all you do is go to streamconnect.com/register and you'll get 50% off if you use the word Mastermind.
It takes about a minute to register, just so you know.
Excellent.
It's nice and easy.
Can you explain again, does the bank statement transactions get imported directly from Streem to Xero, or just downloads the bank statements? Well, so in my world at the moment, you download the bank statements and from October, you'll be able to push into Xero.
Yeah.
Can you confirm that Matthew said the bank statements can be downloaded into Excel?
Yeah.
They can. Basically, they could be downloaded into CSV.
Yeah.
And and therefore be imported into anything you like. Basically, is the long of this.
Exactly. I think as accountants, CSVs and Excel is the only way we would be working. So
yeah, well, I mean, if somebody wanted to import it into Google Sheets for argument's sake, they could do that just the same as what they could take it into Excel. If a client has bank accounts with different bank providers, would that be classed as a separate link for cost purposes?
Yes. Yeah. So if you run through that process once and then you get that success note, that's one link. If you have to do again, that's a second link. So yeah.
Okay. Faraz has asked, how would payroll bureaus benefit from it? So you mentioned payroll bureaus in the people that could benefit from it. Yeah. How would they benefit, Matt?
Yeah. So payroll bureaus tell the clients that they need to pay PAYE, and if most bureaus will tell them at the end of the month that they need to pay in 3 weeks' time. Clients might forget about that. A lot of our clients definitely do. So to be able to check just before the deadline, have you paid? Pick up the phone. So there's being proactive, and if there's any advice or any help that the client needs, they can do it there and then, opposed to waiting until weeks down the line. Client gets a naughty letter from HMRC, and then payments maybe allocated against an older period as well. So that's the main benefit that we use it for.
Brilliant. Thank you. Paul's asked, how do you mention Mastermind when registering on the link?
There's a promo code. There should be a promo code.
If there isn't, Paul, register. Let me know, and I will educate Matt. We'll put it like we'll put it like that. Brilliant. Thank you. Lisa said, "I'm sold. I'm in. Having all this info in one place is excellent." Yeah, and for me, that's one of the benefits. And I know there's a number of questions that are coming through around how is it an improvement on the Xero bank feed that is already there anyway. But it's not about that. If you've got a client, in my mind, as an accountant myself, if I've got a client that's connecting their bank feed and the bank feed is working, leave it alone. Let them do it. Let them get on with it. Yeah. But for me, it's about the ones where we're currently scanning in bank statements or credit card statements in order to get the CSV file. But more importantly, it's where we're trying to get confirmation of that. So if we're doing monthly real-time accounts, it's getting confirmation of that bank statement balance is actually right at the end of the month. And it's surprisingly difficult to get somebody to take a picture of a telephone screen and WhatsApp it or whatever, whereas this link would then give us access and the regularity of it. So it's not about replacing the Xero bank feed, although from what you've said, come October, it will be better than the Xero bank feed because it will do it properly, in inverted commas. But for me, it's not about replacing it. John Smith just said, when you sign up to premium, then the promo, no promo code on the free trial sign up, so if the promo code seems to be missing, Matt, but so if you sign up and let me know, if you email simon@socksupsimon.com, Simon at theaccountantsmastermind.com, or pop it in the WhatsApp group or message me on Facebook or whatever, then we can make sure, John and Paul, that you get that discount, and Lisa as well if you can't find it.
I think sorry, just to add, so the free trial is obviously free, no obligation. You get 5 clients to link up, and then it's the premium paid version that the promo code's for.
Okay.
So,
okay, so Paul's just said no promo code for the trial 14-day session. Brilliant. And Mark has just put the my email address in the chat box because I don't know my own email address. So thank you very much for that, Mark. What advantage? I think we've answered that one. Amen. And we go. And then Gerard said, after every 90 days, we have to relink. That is the same amount of time as a VAT return. So before every VAT, we would want the client to relink the account. I think this could irate the client. How would you respond to that, Matt?
So the client's got to give us information anyway. So if you're talking about linking up the bank feed within Xero, either you've got to get their details to do it yourself on their behalf, or you've got to say to them, log into Xero, do it yourself, which causes problems. You know, they might link it up from the wrong date. I've seen them link up the wrong bank accounts. So if you've got a Starling and a Barclays account, link up the Starling to the Barclays account in Xero. So what this does is, yes, it's one extra process. From the client's point of view, it takes no more than 2 minutes. But you just need to have a conversation with the client to say, we're improving the way we're working to help them to, get less grief from us, really. That's the idea. So
brilliant, excellent, thank you. And that is bang on 10:30, Matt. So Bodes said that she wasn't asked for the he wasn't asked for the promo code either. So what we'll do, obviously on your back end system, Matt, you'll see these all flowing through anyway, won't you? So between now and the end of the 14 days, we will Matt will make sure that the mastermind code is applied for anybody that's come through on whatever day Thursday, here we are. Yeah, Thursday. What are we on? 23rd of September. So it's an easy thing. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much for coming along today, Matt, and sharing Streem Connect. We had lots of positive comments in the. So Chris has found that it's right at the end when you set up the billing information. So Chris has found where the promo code should go, as has Jill as well. It's there somewhere. So I just leaves me to say thank you very much to everybody for coming along and for all the questions. As I said at the beginning, it's the questions that you ask as a community that makes these webinars unique in the accountancy world. And finally, of course, just to say thank you, Matt, for coming along and sharing how Streem Connect can help us automate our financial data collection from our customers. Thank you very much. And a round of applause for Matt.
Thank you.
And we'll say goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
Right. Cheers, Matt. What a session that was with Matt McConnell from Streem Connect, who shared with us how you can automate the collection of financial data from your customers. As always, please hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel so you get notified the next time we issue a video for you. And please feel free to comment and ask any questions below the video, and we will gladly answer them. And on the screen now, down here somewhere, you will see 2 more videos that we suggest you watch to help inspire, challenge, and support you to run the best accountancy practice.